Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Mayim Vega. Mayim is a holistic life coach. Mayim, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Hello, Mr. Peter Faleskini. Thank you so much for the honor of this time that I have to spend with you and your audience. Basically, my story of how I got to become a holistic life coach. Well, let's start with, I always like to start with my previous career because it's kind of about it's about my entrepreneurial journey. The fact that I became a holistic life coach is tied to my entrepreneurial journey. Yes. So before I got married, my last career was I was a computer scientist at the NASA Ames Research Center in Moffett Field, California. And then in 2003, I got married. And then 9 months later, I had my first baby. And after I had my first child, I took some time off, the 6 months or whatever that they allow in America. By the way, can I ask what country you're in?
I'm currently in Italy.
You're where? Where you at? Huh? I can't hear you. Sorry.
Italy.
You're in Italy. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Awesome. That's very interesting. So okay. So I had my first baby, and after 6 months, I went back to work and I put him in childcare. And NASA had great childcare because it was right next to NASA. I came out of the security gate, and then the childcare was right there. So I could like breastfeed my child on my lunch and then go back to work. It was really very convenient, but it felt unnatural to be separated from my 6-month-old baby for most of the day. So I was like, I really want to be a stay-at-home mom, work from home mom. And I learned about entrepreneurialism in high school, and I didn't really know anyone that was an entrepreneur, but I was like, if it can be done, I will do it because I'm smart. I can do it. If I can be a computer scientist at NASA, I can work from home. Why not? Right. So I became an entrepreneur, and then I had another child, and my first business was as a actually digital marketing for high tech companies. um, I guess my NASA background really helped me transition into that. So I was in Silicon Valley, where there's a lot of different startup, tech companies. And so I did digital marketing for mostly like IT companies, cybersecurity, big data storage, stuff like that. And then I had my second child, and I thought I was healthy, and I was a vegetarian, mostly vegetarian, kind of trying to be vegan. And then I started getting these excruciating migraines, just, really terrible headaches. And I was taking the Tylenol and all those over the counter stuff at first. And then eventually they didn't work anymore. So it got so bad. The pain was so bad that in the middle of the night, I thought I was going to die. And I went to the emergency room, and the doctor thought I had a brain tumor. And so they did a bunch of tests on me at the hospital. And at the end, I was there all night. And then at the end, she said, "Oh, well, we did all these tests on you, but we couldn't find anything wrong with you. So here's some strong painkillers. Bye." So I was like, wow, I think I'm dying here. You thought I had a brain tumor. Now you're telling me there's nothing wrong with me. Like, how could there be nothing wrong with me if I'm in such excruciating pain? This is not normal. This is not normal, state of being for a person to be in this much pain where you can't sleep, you can't function, I couldn't work on my business, I couldn't take care of my children, nothing. And so that wasn't the only thing that happened in my journey, but that was like the last straw. That was when I finally put my foot down and I said, I was a professional and I trusted these medical professionals to be able to help me with my health issue, and they couldn't. So I said, well, if they can't do it, I'm going to have to do it myself. And so that's when I started studying, nutrition and herbalism and holistic health. I enrolled in the certification programs to do these things. And I couldn't go to a regular, like college because I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had to work at the same time. So I did these online certification programs, and I learned a lot. And I learned things that that medical doctors don't know. And I eventually learned the whole picture of why I'm very sick. I was very sick, and how to heal myself. The first thing that was wrong was well, I think the main thing, well, let's talk about the first thing. First thing I learned is that I was deficient in B12, the vitamin B12. So I started supplementing with B12, and I started feeling better, and my migraines went away. But then the question is, why am I deficient in B12? And then so when I learned more about nutrition and diet, I learned that vegans and vegetarians, they often are B12 deficient, because the primary source of the vitamin B12 is from animal products. And there's really no historical vegan communities, except for one in India. But when they eat plants and vegetables and fruit and stuff like that, they don't wash them. So they have a very organic way of raising their food, because they're not affected by the modern world. They grow their own vegetables and they don't wash them. So their vegetables and fruit are actually still covered with B12 from the insects that, go around the plants, and, stuff like that. So that's why that specific vegetarian community in India, they didn't have B12 deficiencies. It's because they didn't wash their vegetables. Well, here in the Western world, we wash our things to death, and there's nothing on there anymore that is animal related, if you're vegan. And we have to, because of all the pesticides, and we live in a different world, and this, it's just very, very different. And so I learned that I had to start eating animal products again for better health, and that helped me, so that I didn't have to substitute with B12 anymore. I could just start getting B12 from animal sources. But the last element of why I became, because not all vegetarians experience this terrible pain like I was experiencing, right? So there's some people who are vegetarian and they're just fine. And the reason why I discovered is because of my business. I was living a very stressful way of life. As an entrepreneur, I push myself hard. I'm a workaholic. I'm an overachiever. I want to do everything. Like right now, I have 7 children of my own. I take care of 2 more that are adopted. I homeschool, and I run a nonprofit and a health business, and I'll also still have my B2B business. So I'm like I'll do everything. Like I'm superwoman, but that can take a toll on you, right? And so this was the root cause. I found out that this was the root cause of my headaches. It was that, and then my diet didn't support it. And so what I found is that this didn't go away. This, like, I could start eating animal products again, but I'm always going to be this like high performance type person who wants to do everything and doesn't like to sleep and is a workaholic. That's just my personality, And so when I discovered life coaching, that's when I realized, my life is out of balance. I don't, my life coaches, I've had several, they helped me realize my life is out of balance. I need to prioritize certain things. They had me rate my how grade myself. They had me rate myself in different areas of life: your personal fulfillment, your financial success, your family relationships, your marriage relationship, your health, your leisure time, like your spiritual health. And I stepped back and I rated my life, and I said, oh, okay, so I see this. I'm not balanced here. I'm pretty good here. I need to, and it wasn't a perfect circle. It was like, like this jig-jaggy thing. And when I started working with a holistic life coach, I learned to design my life to be more holistic, more like a smooth circle instead of this weird pointy, thing. where everything in my life was more balanced. And you don't, a lot of times we don't realize that, we might sometimes, as an entrepreneur, I'm like, oh, I want to build my business. I want to build my business. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, what can I do in terms of ads and better sales strategies and growing my team and stuff like that. But sometimes we don't realize what we really need to do is we need to get more leisure time, or we need to have more family time, or we need to improve our relationship with our spouse. And then when you do these things, actually these other things become better. We have better vibration. We have a better energy when we show up in our content generation, let's say, or when we're serving our clients. Because we're happier and we're more fulfilled, we can convey that we have that energy better to our clients through our marketing, through our ads. And it's like when you improve your life in different areas, it's like everything improves. And when you're in balance and you're only focusing on business or sales or something like that, but you're neglecting something over here, like in your marriage or your family, this is going to fail. This is not going to be as strong as it can be also. And so that's how, as an entrepreneur and as a businesswoman, as a professional woman, I saw that holistic life coaching is very, very important. And it's kind of like a luxury. It's like, oh, I don't really need a life coach. But, I think as entrepreneurs, we invest money in a lot of different things, right? We don't need a an ads manager or something like that, but maybe they might do it better than us, right? We don't need a graphic designer. We could design it ourselves, but how good is it going to be? It's things like that. Or, just being able to have a third party look at your situation from a holistic perspective. I think it could be very, very powerful and insightful. And for me, it was very transformational. So that's why I added holistic life coaching to I started a second business after the digital marketing business, which is to do health and wellness. And that's really what I focus on more now, is the health and wellness aspect, and holistic life coaching and health coaching, with helping people maybe with diet or nutrition and herbs on how they could improve their performance or just their health and healing. So is that too long of an answer? Sorry.
No, great. I like it how you explained everything, and I have a lot of questions, of course. You started in, let's say, high stress environment. I believe the computer science is not something that is low stress or can be considered low stress. And then you went into entrepreneurships. And of course, you were workaholic. I believe that a lot of people that go into entrepreneurship is workaholics. And you also mentioned that their life is not balanced.
Oftentimes, yeah.
Yeah, my theory is that they are running away from other part of the life, and they're running into business, and that is why they're workaholics, because they just tend to focus too much on business and not enough on leisure time, on family time, on their diet, and similar. And as we know from psychology, all entrepreneurs have huge problem with authority, and that is also something that that is a common denominator in most of entrepreneurs. So you're also you have mentioned holistic life coach that have helped you. I would like to know your take. Does a holistic life coach need to be more accountability partner, or it needs to be more a cheerleader?
More, what's the second one? Accountability partner or
Cheerleader.
cheerleader?
Yeah.
More, it needs to be more. I think cheerleader is part of it, but I think certainly accountability partner, and also someone that's not afraid to question you, not someone that just says yes, yeah. An employee can never be your life coach because they don't want to question you, right? Or a contractor, they don't want to question, like, no, you're the boss, I'm just gonna do whatever I say. A life coach, a good life coach, is going to be willing to question you and say, are you sure about that? Can you prove that to me? How does that work out? How are you going to do that? So that's another thing, is a life coach should be willing to be able to ask you hard questions, that other people might not be willing to. Like my husband or your wife might not be willing to ask hard questions because they want peace, they just want to get along. But a life coach, I think it's their job to also ask some hard questions. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to comment that NASA is a nonprofit organization. And so even though I was a computer scientist, it was low stress because it was a nonprofit. It wasn't sales, it wasn't profit. It's not profit driven. It's research driven. So the environment was very it was very relaxed. It was very fun. Um Unlike when I became an entrepreneur and working for companies, mostly startups, and they're very profit driven and they don't have funding from the government. So that, I think that's partly why it's more stressful, is because you're never sure, like you have to really work to make sure that your company will live to see another month or year, whereas NASA, it's like, oh yeah, the government will keep giving us money. So it's low stress at NASA, actually.
Oh, okay. Um, so you mentioned in life coaching that someone needs to be able to ask tough questions. How important is that we choose the right life coach, and when should we change the life coach? So what is the one thing that is a red flag with a life coach? Because um, not everyone can get along with either with their coach or the coach with the client. What is the red flag for or according to your experience?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've had many, and personally, I like to have a variety. I do like to stick with one for at least a little while. And I like to have a variety because I like to have different insights, different opinions from different backgrounds. Each person might see something different. um I'm Jewish, and there's a Jewish saying that says that a wise man learns from everyone. So even if it's, maybe you start working with a life coach and you don't feel like they're a good fit for you, but there could still be a good learning experience in there, even though you might not want to stay with them for a long time. But there's always a good learning experience. Every failure, every disappointment, every negative thing that happens in your life, there's at least a lesson to be learned that can be good, you know. So I think just let your own intuition guide you in that. Like, I'm not sure about the red flags, but so I guess some things that I look for is, do our values line up? You know, do we care about the same kinds of things? I think that's one thing. Are they trying to push me into a direction that I do not want to go? Because that shouldn't be something that a life coach should do. A life coach should help you achieve your goals and help derive the method and the path through your own mind, and just kind of draw it out. They shouldn't be like indoctrinating you, you know what I mean, like that. So I think that's what I would say about that. But and so maybe don't get into a 1 year contract, with someone that you don't know very well, make it, a trial period first, or month to month. That's what I would say. Maybe 1 to 3 months trial, not probably not longer than that if you don't know if this person is someone you want to work with for long term.
Great. How important is that your life coach is as successful or more successful than you?
Um, so let me see. You know what? One of my favorite life, I don't know how successful, I don't know like honestly, I don't know. We don't compare like wealth or anything like that. So, but you know what I do want to know is like this is personal. This is me, right? Usually I want my life coach to be in a healthy marriage. And if I feel like if they are divorced or single, that and this is just me, I'm not saying everyone has to believe this way. This is just my personal criteria, that they might not fully be able to relate with me. So I actually like to have work with life coaches that are married. Now we're talking about life coaches. If I'm working with a, let's say a business coach, that's not, I don't care, right? Then all I care about is their success and then their integrity. Let's say their integrity, the personality too. But when it comes to a life coach, I want them to have, I want them to be married. I want them to have some children because that's part of the holistic life coaching. And I have children. I don't feel comfortable taking advice from people who've never had children before when it comes to, my children. And they are also always, at least for me, they're also entrepreneurs. And that's personally, that's important for me because then they can, I think if they hit those three things, then it's good. It's a good match, I feel, for me personally. And I think everyone should have their own criteria. For someone who's single or divorced or something, they might not care if their life coach is married, or if they don't have children that they're parenting anymore. Maybe their children are adults. Maybe they don't care if the coach ever has children or not. So it's what do you feel comfortable with? I think that's the best.
Okay, thank you for all these insights. And I would like to ask you more about your Holistic Health Academy and your programs where you help people certify or not certified. But the more important than certification, as you say in your video, is that they become confident and that they start healing their surrounding, their neighbors, their community, and of course they can get online after that. So can you tell us more about this program? Why did you start developing a program like this? What led you into that? Uh,
Yeah, so I developed my program because I felt, and the program is quite new. So I've been in business. I've had my website aruga.com up since 2009, but the certification program is only since 3 years ago. So it's about 2021 or so, about 3 years. Yeah. And maybe 4. I'm not sure now. I don't remember the exact date. I'm sorry, but the certification program is fairly new, and the reason why I created it is well, I think with the onset of COVID, I had a lot of people, including medical doctors, telling me that I need to not just coach people, but like teach people, how to do what I do. And with the COVID going on, I felt like, yes, I think they're right. I think this is a good time to start it. And I think this is my most transformational program, because it includes everything. It includes everything that I basically experienced and learned in my own journey. So I talk about the health and my health crisis, and so a big portion of the certification program is teaching people about nutrition and herbs and diet and toxins and foundational principles for health and healing. And then the other third of my certification program is holistic life coaching, which focuses on, like what we were just talking about, the mental and the spiritual and the relationship and the personal and all these other aspects of life, not just health and wellness, which brings balance. And then the third portion of it is, after they learn about holistic health and healing and about life coaching, then they learn about online business and marketing. And that's really important because there's not a lot of jobs out there for a holistic healer or even a holistic life coach. We have to be entrepreneurs, really, to make a living and to make an impact in this world with those kinds of holistic health and life coaching skills. And so it's like my life work. It's everything that I have learned over the years, and it's part of that program. And so it's really empowering for people who want to, do something more. Like some of my students are already in the medical profession. Like they're a doctor or a nurse or a medical technician or something like that, and they've already experienced the modern medical industry, and they want something else. They're like, this is not working. This is not really healing people. It's just masking symptoms. People are still dying, et cetera, et cetera. I want to learn the holistic way. So some of my students are in the medical profession. Some of them are already entrepreneurs in different fields, like accounting, or maybe they're a real estate investor or something like that. And they want to enter into the realm of holistic health and healing or coaching because they want to help their family members or their children, and they haven't, like me, they didn't find the answers in the conventional medical world. And then I also have people who I help who are already holistic healers. Maybe they're already a chiropractor or acupuncturist or an herbalist or a physical therapist or a yoga instructor or something, and they just want help with their holistic business and helping that to grow. And so those are the kind of three different types of people that I help, and what they want to accomplish. And sometimes I have people who just come to me and they're like, I'm having problems with my marriage, with my husband, or they just want advice with, certain thing. Maybe they're following me on YouTube, and I teach a lot of. I'm Jewish, so I teach a lot of religious Jewish biblical, principles on my YouTube channel and things like that. So that's, when people come through that avenue, then they'll just have personal, maybe marriage. A lot of times it's marital issues that they want to talk about and would like coaching on.
Okay, thank you for all these insights. And before we close, I will ask you another favor. Can you disclose one trick or a tip that you have for our listeners? What is the most important step to take in order to be healthy or successful, or healthy and successful? So for a holistic success in life, what is the single most important thing?
I'm a religious person, so I think the single most important thing is for me, okay, this is in my opinion, because since you asked, it's that there is a good and loving God who is in control of everything in this world, and to trust that, everything that happens to you, whether it's good or bad, it is to help you. Even the bad things, even the bad experiences, it's eventually it's meant to help you in the end somehow. Maybe it's a lesson that you need to learn, and to not ignore signs, not to ignore signs. I don't want to go into what is a sign, but to trust your intuition and to trust that there is a divine being that loves you and wants to help you and wants to lead you in the right way. And even the failures are to bring you back to the right way, whatever that path is for you.
Thank you very much. And the last question before we close, where can our listeners reach you?
On my website, www.arukah.com, arukah.com. And also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Arukah. And Arukah is spelled Arukah. So yeah, either aruka.com or my YouTube channel is probably the two best ways.
Okay, I will put both of the links in the description below. And thank you for being my guest tonight.
Okay, great. Thank you.